So, like, in League of Legends, I don't know exactly for Valorant, they'll have some equivalent, I'm sure. In League of Legends, basically, this is how they do it. It sounds complicated, but they have the current version of the game that everyone's playing now, if you just log in a League of Legends. But then they have, like, when they're making the next patch, they have a live environment, the like pro environment where you can play just the patch. It's like being part of a beta, basically. You can go and just test that out. And the problem is, it's all about the timing of, like, how long is it in, like, the test version where people can give you feedback, but then how long before it then comes out, and then how long before it gets cycled for the next patch. And basically, that's what also makes it complicated. We're talking like they just make it like a cake in some oven and then come out, there you go, enjoy it. But it's not. It's this whole process of back and forth, and it's the timing, and when does it drop, and then when does the next cycle phase. And so it's actually, again, it's really complicated, actually. It sounds really tricky to actually know, essentially, like, how do I use this feedback of the people playing the beta, but then the people who designed it, but then the people who've, I mean, half the joke about, by the way, pros reacting. Pros will also react with a hot take just on the patch notes. They haven't even played the champion yet. You know what I mean? Like, they'll be like, this is broken. So you haven't even played it? What? Like, that's just not, it is entertainment, but we are ridiculous. We are ridiculous in esports, aren't we?
Right. This is going to be another episode of Reflections, and this one is going to be with Artosis, who technically was not in the Reflection series because he is so old school. He was in Grilled, which was actually the series that I did, which is basically Reflections, but it was when I used to work with Team Acer, if you remember. Now, what people won't know about that, Artosis, is actually, between the two of us, you look quite similar, mate. Back then, I used to have, like, the crazy hair. I was never on camera, if people don't know, so I had zero fucking appearance, look, none of it. I was just a nerd journalist back then who was just doing all the research. I wasn't from StarCraft, for people don't know, so it wasn't my native game. I had to really dive in there. Like, I've read every bloody page of Team Liquid back in the day and all the match threads and stuff. Like, it was a pretty mad approach. But anyway, so this is one of those interviews, if people don't know, where we could have done it many, many, many times in the past. But if you know how it is, especially when people are in different time zones, you don't get it done this time, you try next time, you tag and you keep going back. But here's the thing about me. I'm like the old school bounty hunters, mate. I always get my man in the end. I'm just the guy where I might not know where you've gone on the frontier, but I'll just keep going town to town. Is he here? Is anyone around here? What's going on? Anyone who's biased towards Thorin? And then eventually I find you. Obviously, people are going to know with my style. I do ask some of the questions maybe other people don't. So I have one here that's about Tasteless, who, by the way, I have a great amount of affection for. I think he's a brilliant commentator, one of the best personalities, which you can already tell if I'm setting up like that, it's going to be a little bit spicy. So the question goes like this. And you know what? I think if I phrased it right, even he wouldn't mind this. Basically, as far as I can tell, because I do remember the Tasteless that first went to Korea in Brood War and was living and dying StarCraft Brood War, and he himself was like, he would have done it for, like, you know, a packet of peanuts and somewhere to sleep for the night. Like, he really was a guy that wasn't about, like, money and fame and stuff. That stuff came later, by the way, justifiably so. He put in his hard yards and he really earned that career. But the perception was, and I'll say this is a perception in the industry as well as some people thought, some of it maybe came through on camera, he himself, like I said, was the one-man casting. He didn't need a duo. He just did the whole thing himself. He was the colour commentator, which is brilliant. He knew the game. And he was obviously the voice. He had a voice that was very different back then, before whatever changed his voice. I don't know. Whiskey. Who the fuck knows? I'm not an expert on that one. But something changed his voice. Look, by the way, got one of the best fucking smoky voices of all time now, I will say. So you even locked out in that sense.
Right. This is another episode of Snake and Banter, the show with me, Maui Snake. If you don't have eyes, then again, if you have ears, you'd have heard. So to be fair, don't know why blind people catching strays at the beginning there. By the way, all blind people, welcome to, the joke would be view my, no, obviously just enjoy my content, isn't it? Spoiler, by the way, talk show content. I don't know why. This is one thing I've always found mad. You know when people go really angry about, like, the fucking, oh, you didn't have the correct Twitter on the overlay, or, like, the webcam's all laggy. It's like, spoiler, 99% of people don't even fucking watch these things. They just listen, don't they? You just put it on the background and play the game, don't you? And also, it's a tiny little fucking box in an overlay. So it's not really supposed to be, like, amazing quality, is it? As long as you can see his expression, that's about all you need to know, isn't it? So let's get into this one. And also, I could have segued that better by being like, well, if you are blind, I brought you the voice of Counter-Strike. Oh, look, it's Anders. Like, could have done a whole thing like that, but whatever. Like, if you go to HLTV now, they are literally ranked the number 18 team in the world. Why is the number 18 team in the world starting almost at the beginning of a fucking online qualifier for a world championship? I don't get what we're doing here in this. This is the sport. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a ridiculous premise, you know? I'm not saying it like obviously if they'd been like the 50th best team, it's not like Valve can go, well, you have got Taco and Phelps, so just put them in. Like I'm not saying that. I do that if you're top 20. Can we not at least have it like a Pinnacle Cup or something, Maui, where you join in at the quarters or something. You don't start at the fucking beginning playing wild best of ones against me and you just in a fucking mixed team with some like cheater and match fixing them, would see if you lose or what. Like that shit's outrageous.
I'll kind of like turn it to the fact that I almost kind of don't know why Godsent were playing. I mean, I guess they live in North America, surely, because why are they playing the NA one instead of the South America one? Because that's
Messi also made a point like this on Twitter where he essentially implied like they could have just cynically gone to South America. And by the way, spoiler, if you look how whack that is, you'd almost certainly qualify through. That's just way easier.
There's teams that I've never heard of that went through the South America one, flat out. Like, I mean, some of the names on the teams I've heard of for sure, but like, this Leviathan team, the only guy I know is Mayern, who played on MIBR.
Oh, of course,
This is almost kind of like what happened in reverse of what was happening to a lot of NA qualifiers for in like 2019, 18, 17, maybe, where maybe not 19, but prior to 2019, a lot of like the Immortals / SK kind of lineups or Team One would play in the NA ones and they knock NA teams out. And finally, it's almost kind of like
the revenge.
This is revenge. Okay. This is like, stop pointing our damn qualifier. Go back, just play in your own. You have 8 slots from Brazil or whatever it is. Just play give the NA guys a chance to shine. So I'm like not. Yeah, it's a bummer in that a competitive team is not making it. But it's like, okay, just. Please, let the NA teams have their moment too sometimes.
Right, this is going to be another episode of Elitists United Lockdown Edition. So, obviously, usual host and co-host, guest, Vedius. Here's the sad thing. Now that I actually asked you how to pronounce your name, I've mindfucked myself to where I don't even remember how I was originally saying it. Was that even how I think I said Vedius in it? Isn't that how I always say
Vedius.
Yeah, because
I don't mind if
I know, but it's going to get weird if I myself just start switching for no reason, unannounced. That makes it even more weird. And before it wasn't even a thing. People just got over it, didn't they? They know I just call you that, so whatever, just live with it. It's getting weird. The same way as, by the way. Don't worry, League fans. I am aware it sounds weird that I always call it LeBlanc or whatever, and everyone's like, why is she saying it like Froggen did all the shields? Goes, whatever, it's too late now, isn't it? It's in my brain, it's programmed, I can't get it out. I'm not going to go fucking therapy to get rid of a League of Legends name, am I? It's a fucking dog shit champ anyway. Right, let's start the game.
While I think that Caps had a bad series, I definitely don't think that he was the reason why they lost that series overall. But that moment, some of his deaths were very crucial and giving a swing of the game over to Mad Lions. And especially in that game 3, the game, in my opinion, should have been won by G2. But then because of his mistake, he they lost everything.
Right, new segment here, veteran. I'm not going to let you jump in on this because now we need basically the two of us are now going to be prosecutors in a segment called Caps Apologist featuring Vedius because apparently he's going to now argue that Caps is fine as an ADC and that he was the reason they lost the series. Even though we could literally now just from this one series alone make top 3 ridiculous ints by an AD carry. The guy's the AD carry and he's doing these mad ints. Listen, I get it. Listen, you can't.
Would have done that as a mid laner anyway, Thorin.
Right, sure. But he could have gotten it back if he was a mid, though. That's the thing.
No, well, he was playing mid lane champs, Thorin. What are you talking? On the Aphelios game, I'll give you, right? The Aphelios game, sure, if you want to hold him accountable to that, but he was playing fucking Ziggs, and he also played Syndra, and he lost.
A point that someone made on someone in Insight, though, that I thought was a pretty good one that people probably missed about that, is that is actually an area that they think that Cap showed even more weakness. It's bad enough that he doesn't play ADCs, but they said when he played the mid lane champs, he looked like he didn't understand that he would be lower levels than if he was a mid laner with that champ.
True.
Maybe,
which is actually a pretty good point, I think, because it would make you you'd underestimate gauging the power strength of the opponent, what you can do at this moment. I think he was a bit off with some of that because when he was trying to do usual Caps players, some of them look stupid. Sure. My guests for this one are Foxdrop, who is a streamer / LEC analyst. Although I noticed they keep you in that, modern day LEC is very different. Back in the day, it was a set people and they were always on every episode. You're in the rotating circle of people who come in and you're always on a random one. It's I'm on week 3 and nothing else. How does that actually work? Do they actually give you any advance a warning of when you're going to come on or how often you get to come on? Do you have a set number of weeks for each year or whatever? How does it work?
I'm in LEC limbo, innit? It's honestly, I wish I had a great answer to say to that, but the best answer is I usually get told, like, before any of the split starts, like, yeah, we want you for this split. And then I get messaged on the Monday, oh, you're on this week, by the way. And then I go on the show and chat shit for a few games, and then I'm off. And then I just sit and wait to hear again. And sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And it's just what it is.
Hashtag Frostborn was right, I guess.
I know. Listen, mate, that's actually gangster. They've got this motherfucker waiting by a phone, just like waiting for it to ring, like some heartbroken woman. Just like, oh, will he call? Will he call? And then the second he calls, of course, you're just all over it, aren't you? Oh, yeah. Oh, I'd love to come on this week. Yeah. Oh, Wednesday. I mean, I guess I could move a few things. Like, give me a break. All right. Whatever. Listen, we all do what we've got to do, Foxtrot. But I tell you right now, people in League of Legends do a fucking lot because they have to do a lot. But not only is Gen G, like, questionable in best of 5 series, but even better, right? All the criticism of Perks this year, all the 11 million X memes, all the people like, well, he didn't win every game this year, did he? Like, all the people like that. Can you even imagine? How are they going to keep watching League of Legends if Perks just makes semi-finals or better 4 years in a row from 2 different roles and in 2 different continents? Like, at that point in time, it's going to be, listen, you can always hate on someone. I've basically made a whole career out of hating on Reckless, TSM. But here's the thing, you got to be creative, boys. You got to come with a fresh angle. I don't know what angle you're going to have left if in this universe Cloud9 actually wins this series, which I'm not saying is going to happen. I'm saying I'm picking it because of the odds. If that happens, everyone just has to shut, at least for a week, everyone just has to shut the fuck up. Perks can basically at that point in time just post a picture of his fucking ass cheeks. Like, there's nothing any he can do. Like, it's just over at that point. How's anyone, by the way, and how is anyone ever going to trash talk him ever again? Like, he would have the most god-tier Twitter clout status of all time. He already has a pretty good one, by the way. Like, I like that tweet he made too. I think it was Cadrel or something, where Cadrel was making some comment about like EU getting out of groups, and he was basically made some comment that was sort of like, I am EU. It's like, all right, fucking hell. I mean, you are, but, you know, I can't lie, it's pretty gangster. So we'll come back to EG. I have to say, Croms, I want to get your take on this, because I personally know fuck all about the JoJo guy, and this is actually a big concern. I obviously know Vulcan, think he's a pretty good player in general. My problem with this particular move is this. I also agree with the inspired angle that Rich brings up, because I don't see where all these winning lanes are going to come from on this team. I thought personally Jizuki was great last year, like, in relative to who EG had possible to get, you know. And the problem is this. Peter Dunn's entire strength in his career thus far has been finding talent with the eye test and picking people out who you wouldn't expect to be good. I think this is a bridge too far on this one. Mid lane isn't a joke role. It has to be, in theory, the best player on your team. So if he's really gone out and scouted this guy's going to be like a Jensen, Jizuki, Bjergsen type player, the fair player, he knows more about League than I ever will. All I'll say is this. I actually think NA does have a lot of fool's gold talent. Like, what they do in NA, it's basically, we could have had this discussion if we bothered talking about tactical, we just won't do it. Tactical's the best example. Old school contractors another example. You don't even have to actually be consistently good in NA. If you just have one really good split, people are so horny for there to be good NA talent, they'll just crown you immediately. Like, dude, it took years for contracts to actually be considered a bust. And by the way, spoiler, he's back. Like a fucking, some sort of mad horror villain from the 80s. He's back again. He's back to terrorize the whole league and pretend he's good now. So, same thing I'm going to say with all these split. Fucking go through the list, mate. Tactical's one of them. And you could even arguably say Licorice did this. He just had a longer period. He had 2 years, let's say, that he was really good. Like, give me a break, mate. Like, I don't believe you've just found the next really good player for Midland out of nowhere in the LCS.
The Beatles said they get by with a little help from their friends, but I get by with a little help from my Patreon community. And this video was kindly supported by Matt Pugnatio Rajcula, Ahmed Hadjou, Bot Pounder 420, Tooorin, Animosity, Tobias Bernasconi, Jensen Goh, Tosh, and a special thanks always goes out to my main man, Jerky's Minion. Would you like to ask me a question in my monthly video AMA? Do you want teasers to find out who are the upcoming guests? Maybe you want to take part in one of those lengthy but intense esports discussions I have with my donators. Or maybe you want to suggest a guest or a topic that I could cover. Well, if any of those tickle your fancy, put your money where your mouth is and join the Scrutiny today, where in the description box below there is a Patreon link.